This episode of the PC Perspective Podcast is brought to you by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/PCPER and enter code PCPER. And by Lenovo. See more at lenovo.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 394, being recorded on April 6th, 2016. I'm Ryan Schraub.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Mamontano.
Ken could have totally put the wrong date in the show notes doc, and I would have read it. So there's that.
Totally.
What makes that different from normal?
Well, sometimes I make the show notes and put the date in, right? So then I would know I'd do it correctly. I'm just not saying you do it wrong on accident. I'm saying you do it wrong on purpose.
So you're saying I should have put April 6th? And see if you read it.
I'm pretty sure I would have just looked at the number. I would have figured it out. I would have figured it out.
I couldn't forget today's date.
Oh, that's right. Because tomorrow is the release of the new Star Wars trailer for
the teaser.
Rogue One.
No, the teaser.
They made
trailer.
a teaser trailer for the trailer.
But it's a teaser. Yeah. It's a teaser trailer for a teaser trailer.
The trailer.
Even worse, it's a teaser for the teaser.
Okay.
No. Today was the teaser for the teaser.
But
Tomorrow's the teaser for the trailer.
It's a teaser trailer.
The trailer's trailer. Yeah.
It's a trailer with even less stuff than a normal trailer, so it's a teaser.
But the chalice from the palace is the brew that is true.
Right. It's also it's Ken's birthday or something. So there's that.
Okay,
I'm celebrating.
Don't get all choked up on my behalf.
I'm really sad. He's becoming a man, something, being 19 years old, blah, blah, blah. And we had this Lucky Buddha beer today. You said you've never had this, have you, Josh?
I had the chance to have one the other day, but I passed on it because I hadn't ever heard anything about it.
Just tasted like beer.
It's all right. I mean, it's a Chinese beer, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have a very specific style and flavor and taste of beer.
Is it rice?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't
Does it
think
taste
so.
more like Sapporo?
It didn't taste.
Or more
It didn't taste like rice beer.
No,
Shay?
Eating.
It doesn't taste like Sapporo, I didn't think.
No.
But it's got a Buddha on the bottle. It's probably not coming out in the video very well.
It is
Probably
a
not.
Buddha.
But it's Lucky Buddha beer.
But it's a non-religious
Yeah.
Buddha.
The bottle is a Buddha.
Right. It will be the
You're talking
mascot.
about that's holy water.
It will now. Here, I can do this. I can pour the water into it. Now, then it'll just taste like beer
You're going to
water.
have some skunky water.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hate it when I have skunky water.
This will be the mascot at the new Church of PC Perspectivetology when that gets founded later in the year.
Scientology.
Oh,
Scientology? No, PC Perspectology.
we can get Tom Cruise to come and laugh hysterically.
Yeah, anything it takes to get whatever brings in page views, guys, is what we're doing.
So obviously you want to make a lot of money.
Right. So start a church.
Yeah.
Oh,
even
hell
though the building is a church that failed,
Yeah.
and is being foreclosed on.
That sounds like the perfect place to open a church.
That makes it the second coming.
True, yeah, exactly. So welcome to the show, everybody. We do record on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at pcper.com/live. If you want to join our mailing list, which is now up over 12,000 people strong.
Over 12,000?
Over 12,000. You can go to pcper.com/subscribe. You get this little form here. Oh, wait. Do we not?
That's not it.
Nope. No. How about that one? Anyway, you get a
that one?
form that asks for your name. There you go. We're on top. It's his birthday, guys. Give him a break.
Yeah.
It's fine. I see you in the chat getting ready to type in your nasty messages. In reality, Sebastian is nothing more than a web page anyway. Right? It's fine. pcper.com/subscribe. Fill out your name and your email address. And we'll send you an email when we're about to do a live stream, usually an hour or 2 hours ahead of time. And if it's a special event, we'll send it out a day ahead. So you'll always be in the know of the cool awesomeness things that we're doing. Like we did our HTC Vive and our Oculus Rift live streams. And you probably missed those because you're a poo-poo head. Speaking of being a poo-poo head, if you're not contributing to our Patreon at patreon.com/PCPER,
Is this where we pass around the plate?
maybe, yeah. This is so as part of the Church of PCPER PC
doing a new
perspectology.
outreach.
This is the
with
easy.
Josh.
This is the early adopters. You'll get a Godfather clause if you go for this.
I gotta add a new goal as well as a new perk about like maybe we'll hand out. No, see, I can't do like a crucifix with like a PCPER logo. On
No,
it.
you can't do that.
But
What's our communion wafer?
it's like I can just take a piece out of the wafers.
It's like a
that
Thin
we
Mint.
have.
Obviously,
You know what?
Obviously,
Here, I've got what you can do.
Okay,
Indulgences.
What?
Sell indulgences.
so that they're allowed to buy expensive computer hardware.
Sure.
I
That
see.
you can go to PC heaven.
I see.
Yep. But
Okay,
only if you buy it
all
through our
right, I'm with
sponsorship
ya.
link at Amazon or P&H.
So we do have a Patreon campaign, guys. This is to get direct support from viewers, listeners, readers, however you're consuming us, if you will. Patreon.com/PCPER. It's pretty cool, guys. It's basically like a monthly recurring thing. You can donate as little as $1, as much as $1,000 million.
$1,000 million.
$1,000 million,
Wow.
Yep.
That's a.
which is like
It's like a billion.
It's like a trillion. 1,000 million?
Depends on which side of the sea you're on.
No, that's a billion.
Yeah, that's a billion.
$1 billion a month would be fine. We could do a really nice
Wait,
church.
no,
for a billion.
1,000 million is higher than a billion.
Is it? Isn't
No,
Yeah.
not in the U.S. They do 1,000 million or 100,000.
Oh no, it's a billion. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Add 3 zeros, man.
Yeah.
It's math. It's hard.
Sorry.
But see, if you want us to be educated, you should go to patreon.com/PCPER.
Yeah.
We have some cool things. You can get access to, like, we do a post show every podcast. It's, it could be 10 minutes, could be 20 minutes, could be an hour and a half if Allyn is the only one doing it.
That's
apparently.
true.
And we do post it on YouTube as an unlisted thing that we only send out to anybody who is contributing $3 or more per month to our Patreon. So if you listen to the show, you watch the show, but you want to see like the pre-show or post-show stuff that we do, that's a way to get that as well. And obviously,
just can't get enough Josh.
if you just can't get enough Josh, there's always more Josh
you
to
can
be
get
had.
more than enough Josh.
And we greatly support it. And if anybody adds or contributes to the thing, I'll get a notification on my phone and I'll say your name out loud. So you can put whatever dumb name you want in the field, and I will be forced to read it out loud. That's for those of you who are watching live. Obviously, if you're watching after the fact and you didn't know while you're listening to it, I will not be able to read your name out in real time.
Well, no, you'll read it out. Just no one will hear it.
I'll read it out loud while I'm sitting in my kitchen at home or something like that, and my wife will go, "What?" And then we'll move on from there. You gonna take care of that?
Yeah, I got it.
It's important.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about real quick before you get into the meat of the episode, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I do want to mention and point everybody to Maury's follow-up article on the Thermaltake Core X9 E-ATX cube chassis. That is this enormous beast of a machine here. I still look at this picture and it doesn't look like a big case.
Until you realize that those are 5 1/4 bays.
Right.
Since we last talked about this case, I've seen one in person. I'm pretty sure I can live inside of it.
Yeah.
And then also keep in mind, that's like a full-size GeForce GTX 980 Ti or Titan X or whatever that is in that window there.
Yeah, it's only taken like,
Yeah.
not even halfway across. the
So
thing.
here's that summary. Let's see let's look at a couple of things to see. Oh, he was mounting his rads and all that in there this time. So if you want to see his radiators, Josh. Radiators. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that we learned that Maury needs bigger rads.
They're not filling up the space really well enough.
No.
It's not fulfilling
Oh,
the
he didn't even
Thermaltake
fill
chassis.
the third 5 1/4 bay.
Yeah. Even if you just put like a 6X CDX burner.
He should put
CD
that fan
burner.
controller he reviewed in there.
Yeah, that's true. You could do that
He
too.
needs to put a Kenwood True X
So I mean,
in there.
that's one of those. What's that monitoring thing from the
The
Asus?
OC bot.
Yeah, OC bot there in one of the 1/4-inch bays, and there it is from the side view. Look at all that empty space.
Yeah.
He put so much stuff in there. So Maury walks through his build, his installation process with all the radiators, and he only has one
You could
power
like
supply.
turn that into a small library for a
Wait, what's
Wyoming
that?
community.
What's that second add-in card?
SLI, right?
No, I think that's just
We're talking about this thing right here
a
next to the
blank.
video cards. It's got blue protectors on
It
them.
looks like it has a DVI port on it.
Yeah, there's like an HDMI thing at the
And
bottom.
a missing
on the last
VGA
one.
port.
yeah. That's
What
that's
is he
got to be a
doing?
blank.
Let's-
I don't know.
If only we could ask him. If only somebody knew him.
Oh, it's
so
probably
we-
a low-profile card, and he didn't bother attaching the last connector to it.
Why? But why? Why
Just
would he
to
have a
make it
low-profile
look
card?
Because he wants
See that right there?
He just wanted to
Yeah,
fill the
that's
slots, man.
That's something.
What is that?
That's
a sound card?
that's a Sing Labs ET 6000.
But that's got is that a capture card?
Is it a
Could be.
TV tuner?
I don't know.
Like-
It's got HDMI on it.
Yeah, it
Does
doesn't
it?
have a coax in.
That's HDMI on the bottom most one.
DVI.
Yeah.
What?
Somebody should ask that guy.
PCIe.
He's got all kinds of crap in
Maury,
there.
what the hell is
he
it?
doing?
He has dual 970s, a 750 Ti for physics, and a PCIe pass-through TV capture card.
I mean, if you got space, I guess just put crap in there.
Exactly.
Right? You know?
All right, go Maury.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, look here, we get a better view. And does that help anybody?
It's a capture card. He said
Oh, you're reading in the chat. I'm not reading in the chat. Okay.
it's two 970s, a 750 Ti, and a capture card.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just guessing.
No.
Good guess though.
That'd be an awesome guess.
So yeah, lots of pictures here, lots of cool kind of dissection of what this process is like. I mean, if you're just looking for something to look at, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So check that out.
Or live in.
Or if you're looking for something to live in.
I'm looking to move places. Like I think that's about the square footage I can afford.
You take the-
My
You
wife
take-
would like to house more small children.
You take the 2 VR base stations, you put them in either corner of the case.
Right.
Then you
I think you could do a whole
Josh,
room.
they're cheaper than
yeah,
a crib.
whole room
You could
VR
do
in there.
room scale VR in that case. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Valve and HTC should
Yes.
sell is a box, is an enclosure.
It's a room.
That's like, look, just
Oh.
put this somewhere and go.
I've got a great
The
business
steam
idea.
room?
You know, like those pods.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
like
Just
a pop, like
have
portable
them
on-demand VR.
just
Pover.
like ready to go.
drop off in your driveway, and then there you go. VR.
Yep.
That's the next $1 million idea.
It's the next $12.50 idea.
You could even have
Come
like,
on, you put a little insulation in there. You attach it to your back door.
Yeah.
You can lock yourself out. It'll be cool in the summer, warm in the winter.
All right, so we're going to talk about VR for a little bit. We're going to talk about our first attempts at measuring VR performance, and I had this thought process yesterday or the day before. It was at night. Kelly was out babysitting some other people. I was home with Emmeline by myself, and she was asleep on her boppy pillow. And I was bored. I was watching dumb TV, basketball or something that was on. And I was like,
So did you jump on the boppy pillow and launch her into orbit?
No, she was sleeping, and I prefer when she sleeps at night as opposed to being awake. So I wanted to leave her there, but I was like, I could go play some VR stuff.
Yeah.
And then I thought, that's not a great idea.
Without the headphones.
If you're home by yourself with like a kid, if you're a single parent at home with a baby or a child,
Yeah.
that's a really bad way to parent.
fairly irresponsible.
You need
Yeah, you
no
should just
headphones.
smoke some dope instead.
But no, come on, Ryan. You had 2 headsets. Hook her up with one,
Yeah,
you with
put
the other. That's,
Put one
true.
on the kid.
Yeah, have her wake up and be like, I should do that if it's light outside and I want her to get to sleep.
No,
I
listen.
put a VR headset on it that looks like it's nighttime.
You put a green screen behind her and set a camera up on her, and you code the game so that if you look in the back corner, there's your kid, right?
And,
Just go check on her.
Our buddy Andrew had a better idea. It was just like, you just need to like pit the monitor audio into your headphones somehow, whether it be Bluetooth or
Yeah,
seen a
other
mixer.
connection. And like I have a video monitor, right? So there should be a way for like maybe instead of using the front-facing camera of the Vive, it actually, if I double-click it, it shows me the baby's picture.
No, you just turn on the front-facing picture of the Vive, then look at the baby monitor.
Yeah, you could do that. Like, no,
And
everything's
all
fine.
you see are a bunch of dingoes.
Maybe the dingo ate you.
So yeah,
checked it
there's
too
that. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and your audio stuttered a little.
Tape a controller to her, and she'll be tracked in game.
Controllers on the kid's
Now
back,
you're talking.
and so there's actually a baby crawling around in
My
the game.
hand is leaving.
We need to
Like-
make like an IR collector baby vest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you see the kid crawling around your feet, so that way you can't trip over the kid when you're doing your whole room VR.
It's good.
Man, we've got all the business.
So we got to do
ideas
that for the
tonight.
dogs too, because I did have that issue with the 3 dogs. When I was doing VR, one would like, I'd be standing there doing something, and a dog would just kind of like sit in front of me, like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then I would take a step forward, and I would kick the dog, and they're like, "Oh man," it's like,
Oh,
dummy. Can't you see I'm wearing this VR?
VR.
helmet?
Making-
I can't see you.
making owners kick dogs everywhere.
Quick thank you and shout out goes to Robert Doyle and Rich Tyndall, who just updated their pledges
Awesome.
on Patreon. Thank you guys. So let's get into it. This is so I'm not going to talk about this a whole lot. I'm going to kind of brief through this because
We have 2 long videos on it.
we have one long video on this.
And the other stuff.
We didn't take a video.
We didn't do a
of
video
stuff.
of the Lighthouse stuff.
Oh yeah, there wasn't a video of that.
So we have one video that discusses VR performance on our YouTube channel, or if you go into this article, the video is embedded there, and it's fairly long. It's like 25 minutes, something like that. And we go into a significant depth on the how, the what, and the why of it. But the basic premise is, now that we have both these VR headsets, we're starting down the path of benchmarking them and trying to figure out how to benchmark and compare. How would you compare graphics cards on the HTC Vive? How would you compare CPUs in the HTC Vive? All those types of things.
Yep.
And it's way, way more complicated because none of the existing tool set that exists, as I just said, works in the way we want it to.
Yep.
Right? So even older, what I would consider kind of slightly outdated tools like Fraps, even though it has lots of interesting use cases, and PresentMon, which is a newer kind of updated version of something like that works at DX12 and stuff like that we're still experimenting with.
Yep.
It doesn't see a lot of the picture that we're looking at. And the reason is because the game is no longer sending calls to DirectX. DirectX talks to the driver talks to the display, and boom, you're done. Mm-hmm. Right? There's now an arbiter in between it where the game engine actually submits a frame to the VR SDK, whether it be Oculus or OpenVR for SteamVR. And then that SDK, that API, is responsible for submitting the DX calls where appropriate and sending output to the display. Now, also kind of complicating this is the fact when you hook up a Vive or a Rift to your computer, it does not show up as a display.
Yeah.
Right? It's a direct input device that you really basically have kind of no input into. And as far as I can tell from talking with both NVIDIA and AMD and Intel at this point, they don't have a way to kind of intercept any of that stuff. Right, they're very much a servant of the SDK and the API from Oculus and SteamVR as well.
Yep.
They're
just passing
like
it through,
the
basically.
game is and DirectX is to some degree, right?
Yeah.
The SDK has final say. Now, a lot of that could change in the summer when we get more Windows updates, but this is what we have to work with.
So does the game use DirectX first and come up with the frame and then pass it to the...
I don't think so. I think basically instead of doing a present, like basically it gathers all the data that it would normally gather. Instead of doing a present, which is basically a DXGI call, it says submit frame to Oculus. But probably the same data
So it literally
set.
passes all the stuff like draw a polygon here, polygon there. Like
Yeah.
all that goes
Yeah.
through. Huh.
It's
How is CPU usage with this? Because it's obviously going to be doing a whole heck of a lot more work, as well as probably would it be sending
I think,
frames to main memory?
Well, no, I mean, I think the VR part of it...
It's passing through a lot of
it's
it.
basically just passing a lot of it through, but it's adding other stuff like the overlay of the environment and like
Right.
the other, stuff, or whether or not you want to time warp a frame and that kind of stuff.
So
But,
it basically, my guess is that it's the intercept of all the DX stuff. It passes it off to DirectX.
Yeah.
Right. And then it gathers the result from DirectX and would output it to the screen on its own. Right. And so I think that's going to add some CPU overhead, especially since it's doing compositing.
Yeah.
But in theory, it shouldn't be a whole lot until you get into the very complex stuff about warp and it's kind of updating its own internal timers, right? The game engine.
Yeah, but it's still being sent out through the HDMI port, right?
On a video card, yes.
Yeah, and so is there...
There's a copy involved in
Yep.
that.
Okay, is there a chip and local memory involved with the actual Oculus itself where it controls some of that, or is it all
It
more
goes directly.
software driver
Yeah, it's straight
magic?
straight from the video
So
card.
when you look in the NVIDIA driver, when you look through the NVIDIA driver details, it sees the Vive or the Rift as a direct input device, right? So the GPU and graphics card are aware of it, and my guess is that it still has like a memory location buffer that it's writing to, but it kind of has the final say on when it gets output to it, right? As opposed to the GPU doing the flip itself. Or maybe it's just a coordination between the driver and the SDK to like agree upon, look, you just do it when we tell you to do it, no monkey business about adding in extra frames or added delay or anything like that.
That device that you see may very well be, like it says, the input. It might be just the way that the VR software is getting like position changes and stuff, not necessarily what the video is going out to.
No, it's because that would come in through the USB. right? Like your position changes.
There's no video processing being done in the headset. It is HDMI to a chip that splits the HDMI to two MSIs
Right.
or
So-
DSI displays.
But then how does it do the time warp when you turn?
It resends the frame.
Yeah.
It resends the frame.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. Resends the frame warped
Yeah.
in to reflect the position change.
I think it resends the frame, and the GPU is doing the warping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's
Are you sure?
yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Yeah, this one
It
I
has to.
am, yes. So because of all that complication, that obviously, I mean, to be fair, we're still trying to figure out and finalize and get final answers from everybody. And the two SDKs, APIs work a little bit differently as well. So because of that, we can't just get an easy data, and we can't use our frame rating kind of capture-based FCAT style performance testing because we can't capture the output that goes to the headset yet, and we don't have an overlay for it, even if we could. And the overlay would be really complicated because it's not a straight edge bound, and there's all kinds of things that would go on. It's all solvable. It's just we're not at that point yet. So what we do is, in this kind of iteration of what we think we're going to do, is we're going to combine two sets of data. One is the present mon data, which is a present call, which is actually a present call going from the SDK to your companion monitor, your computer monitor,
Yes.
not your headset.
The little window that it puts on your desktop that shows other people what you're doing in
Right.
the game, basically.
Oh boy, that's trouble.
Yep. So that
Yep.
changes based on the game. That changes, like, people can adjust that. So it's not
Some games will get really close to doing kind of the same thing.
Yep.
So what
Some
happens
games
when you
adjust it
turn
on
your
the fly.
monitors off and there are kids around?
Yep.
The monitor is off.
Yeah, will it still display?
Oh well.
We'll still measure it. Yeah.
Some games will like
Privacy screen, Josh. Privacy screen.
some games might drop frames there first. Like if it's getting too busy,
Yeah.
just random. Another big thing is the display. You have to have a display if you want the closest to optimal. You have to have a display that will go 90 hertz.
Not 60, not 120.
Yeah,
it
not
has to be
60,
able
not
to be set
120.
at 90.
We
Yeah.
tried 120. It was actually worse.
Yep.
Because basically it was out of sync.
Some games will even let you move that camera for that view.
Right.
Like, in physical VR space,
it won't
pick
work
up
with
and
every
move that
game,
camera.
and it may not work with a lot of games.
Yeah.
But we're still kind of messing around with it. The other data point that we're taking is it's only available to us in SteamVR, and it looks like this.
That is a horrible amount of data.
This is part of the SteamVR frame timing output that you can get when you start getting into the developer options and stuff. And you get all kinds of information, a lot of which I honestly don't understand quite yet completely, right? Like like the idea of poses where it's waiting for to get poses when a new pose is ready. That's essentially the tracking of your headset and your controllers. There's negative time at the bottom, and that is because this is happening like the previous frame.
So you're getting the
right?
poses a frame
You're
before.
getting the frames,
and
yeah,
you
you're
render
getting
the
them
next
ahead of
frame.
time, so you get him to the game engine, so the game engine can do whatever the crap it's going to do, and then goes from there. But the data we're taking from it that I think is most relevant for our particular use case in terms of graphics card testing is total GPU. It's this teal line kind of at the top that's really hard to see. And with total GPU and then correlated present mon times from the companion monitor that we check and validate match the experience of what we're seeing in the head-mounted display, we can come up with interesting data. So we're using a game called The Gallery Episode 1, Call of the Starseed. It's a very complex name, but when asked some people who have a lot of experience with VR games, what is the most kind of graphically intense title that they've seen so far, this is the one, and the developers were awesome. They helped answer a bunch of questions for us. And I do want to point out that every developer I've talked to has said that the viewport, the companion monitor, is a bad way to measure performance.
Yep.
Right? So if you are only looking at present-mon data, if you are only looking at Fraps data in VR testing,
You're doing it wrong.
you're doing it wrong, right? And if you're not, even if you're not at the very least correlating those performance differences with something that is happening in your headset,
Yeah.
then the numbers you're talking about just are meaningless, right? So I'll show a couple of these graphs real quick,
What
but
was
then
the name
then
of
I'll
that
move
game?
on. The one I just talked about, the gallery,
The gallery, and then there's a bunch of words. at the
something
end of it,
something Starseed.
but- Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a result of HTC Vive running on the GTX 970 on our $900 system build. And the orange line here is PresentMon. That's our Fraps kind of game time that's being sent to the monitor, not to the headset, right? And there's a lot of jitter in it. There's kind of a lot of variability that's kind of a trait of having VSync back pressure being put on a game engine. And then the blue line is total GPU render time. And the total GPU render time in this case hovers around 7.5 milliseconds. And the PresentMon time, although a lot of variance, is obviously standardized at 11.1 milliseconds, which is 90 frames per second.
Yep.
The end result here that we verified in our headset is that the image is smooth, the animation is smooth, and we can kind of correlate that to because the GPU render time is well below the 11 millisecond cutoff that it needs to have. That it needs to have in order to maintain good performance of the headset. Now, if we use the same system and we go against the developer's wishes again and turn it from a low preset to a high preset, we get this graph. Now, things look very different.
Yep.
If you there's two scenarios we're looking at. We're looking at a campfire in the game, which is very GPU intense, and then we're looking up at the sky, which is not. So if you look at the orange line, remember these are frame time, so lower is better. That first section here is us looking at the fire. It's 22.2 milliseconds, and then when we look to the sky, it settles down at 11.1. We look up at the fire again, it slows down, and look up at the sky again, and it goes back down to 11.1 milliseconds.
And what's interesting there is that the GPU is actually not too far past the threshold. Like, it's not going too slowly, but it's just slowly enough.
Right. So, and if you look at the GPU render time, that blue line, in the parts where we're running at 45 frames per second instead of 90, the GPU frame time is above 10, maybe between 10. It's between 10 and 11.
It's missing
maybe
it by
just
like
11.
a millisecond.
But you've got to remember, a lot more has to be done than just the GPU render time.
Yep.
There's CPU stuff, there's compositing, there's other things that have to be accomplished in that 11.1 millisecond window.
Yep.
So essentially, what happens here is the GPU render took too long. It pushes the whole thing out of the 11.1 millisecond window, so we get back into 22.2 because it's the next VSync step down.
Yeah.
And obviously, they're not going to do tearing on a head-mounted display. And that's the result, right? And then the last one I'll talk about here is that if we take the high preset and look at it on a 980 Ti, right, where we have a lot more compute power, notice that we still have this blue line goes up and down based on if we're looking at the fire or the sky.
Yeah, we're standing in the same scene, same spot.
But it never gets up above, never really gets near the 10 millisecond mark for the total GPU render time. As a result, the game present time stays pretty static at 11.1 milliseconds. We're able to hit that 90
Did you
FPS.
feel any of those spikes?
No.
So they were just momentary, didn't even register.
Yeah,
on
that
you.
was just like...
Oh, you're talking about the orange lines there?
Yeah.
No, you don't feel that. That's
something with how we're measuring it. That's not...
remember, this is what's going to the monitor, not to the head-mounted display. So what we're more kind of looking at with the orange line is where is it standardized at? Where is it where is it trending at?
And another thing that's important to note is that if you go back up to the one where it's actually slowing down, right? That's only what's showing on the monitor that slows down. In other words, your headset, what you see through the headset, if you're moving your head around, that still stays smooth at 90. It's the scene changing. It's like
you're not explaining this well.
No, it's the stuff in the scene.
I know.
Well, it's hard to explain.
It's hard to explain. Like
the system will always keep you turning your head a fluid thing, even if the game engine is having a hard time animating the stuff in the scene.
So what Alan's talking about is a phenomenon that we saw in there where when we're looking at the game at 45 frames per second, if we moved our hand or we saw some animation in the game, it looked like it was running at 45 frames per second.
Yes.
But when we turned our head, it did not feel like it was running at 45 frames per second. It was running at 90.
Yeah, that stays smooth.
And the reason is because we talked about that in-between step that Oculus has, Josh. It is able to do a time warp on the frame where if it's compensating for head motion, right? So it shifts the rendered image, the already rendered image, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, or up or down, whatever direction you're turning, right, with a warp, and it's got to do some more complicated math than I'm saying, but it shifts it a little bit so that at the very least, at every 90 hertz refresh cycle, you are seeing the correct panning motion from it, right? And there's other side effects that go along with it, like pull in and stuff that you can read the story to get more detail. But the effect is you are looking at two different animation rates on the screen at the same time.
Yep.
Right? Because the Oculus SDK or SteamVR SDK or API, whatever it is, can't fix the animation of the hand. It can't warp the hand. Right? The GPU has to render it. The game engine has to know about it. Like, you can't do that.
If something's walking by in the scene, if some object is moving.
Anything
You can't
that's
predict
occurring.
the pose,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it too.
Right.
But I mean, well, actually, no, I take that back, because it is predicting the pose based on your head movement. Right,
You're
and
talking about the pose.
Well,
Yeah,
the controller movement.
Well, it knows where the hand is,
Well, no,
but not what the hand's
It
doing.
knows the controller is moving, and it's pulling that at 90.
It knows what that's doing, but it
Yeah.
doesn't know what the game engine thinks should happen with that data yet.
Yeah.
Right.
All it can do is take the entire scene and move it in a direction.
Yeah.
Right, and that's called time warp. And both Rift and Vive, or both Oculus SDK and the SteamVR setup, have that capability. And so it's a pretty cool thing. I would encourage you guys to go to that article and look at the data we presented. We show a little bit of like AMD versus NVIDIA very, very quickly. Again, this is one game, one scenario. This is kind of us brainstorming out loud, if you will, about how to test VR. And then you can check out the two videos, one that shows the comparison of animation, like a hand, an in-game animation versus a sweep animation, and then we have a video that tries to show you the time warp pull-in effect, which is pretty interesting too. All this is to say that it's really complicated crap,
It is.
and we don't really have a final answer. I don't think this is a perfect solution. I just think it's the best solution that we've been able to come up with at this point, or that anybody's been able to come up with at this point. So my goal, probably for the rest to the end of this week, is to maybe find a couple of other games where we can profile this. Say, okay, now that if we pick a game where there's a scenario where you can do this, we can get interesting data. Now let's compare, cards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and see what the data comes out looking like. A lot of, because the unfortunate part for me and for us is that a lot of times we spend a lot of time generating a bunch of data and going, well, this is all garbage. This says absolutely nothing, or it's irrelevant. It doesn't correlate.
And now it takes like two people to generate the data.
Yeah, you've got one person having to have the headset on, or
Okay, look up, look down.
If you followed us on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, or you follow us on Facebook, you'll see that I posted pictures of like a tripod with a Vive headset and Mickey Mouse ears, R2-D2 Mickey Mouse ears on it, and then we were using that to try to get smooth pans and stuff across. So
It wasn't working until we added the Mickey Mouse ears.
yeah, it really gave it
course not.
personality.
That was the touch.
Yeah. So there's that. We've talked about that for a long time. Any other input from the two of you that weren't here in this office dealing with it the whole time?
The thing
Thoughts?
the thing that I took away the most from well, I'm just adding a little thing.
Go for it.
Was that because of the way that those results come out, like now it really, really matters how fast your GPU is, because once you get past that threshold, it just throws you into that slower
Yeah.
rate.
You're almost running beast.
Going from 45 to 90 is a significant difference.
And it's a very much
Oh, I'm sorry,
on-off
90
thing.
to 45.
It's like either you're fast enough all the time or you're not. Like you're just going to know.
And many people hypothesize that time warp will save us
it won't. Not for
from
that stuff.
those, even if it, right. That's what I'm saying. Some people hypothesize that it will save us from the every once in a while drop down below 11 milliseconds, and it kind of doesn't. All right.
Yeah.
Unless nothing's happening.
It keeps your head, feedback to your eyes from your head moving. It keeps that fluid. That never really changes, but the scene updating slower. It's like you're just sitting in front of your computer. You can move your head around. The room still seems fluid, but if your game starts updating slower, that you're looking at on a display, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, right?
So go check out
And then
the
5
Go
minutes later, you start painting the wall.
Yeah, because if it wasn't smooth, that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So go check out that story. And like I said, we have a longer video that goes into more detail on it and kind of goes through each of the data examples point by point. So check that out if you are interested. And also, real quick, we're going to talk about this one's neat, but there's not a whole lot of analysis that goes into it. Allyn wrote up a cool how does it work for the HTC Vive's Lighthouse tracking system.
Yep.
And this is basically, there's a precursor at the beginning of this about how IR has been used in video games back, that's how the motion controllers in the Wii worked.
Yep.
Right. Allyn brought in his sweet modded Nintendo Wii gaming console for us to look
with
at.
the blue swatch case.
And we're able to take this picture here of that working. And then it's hard to see in this, but there's a picture of the Oculus Rift with its setup.
You can actually see the LEDs lit up.
Yeah, and it's got LEDs on the back, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because the the Vive has no backtracking stuff.
true.
You know,
It relies on the
dual.
well, not just the dual
It's
sensors,
got some outside.
but it kind of has some rearward
in
facing
my experience,
sensors.
those aren't great.
Yeah.
But so one of the more interesting parts with the SteamVR setup, the HTC Vive, is these lighthouses.
Yep.
It's these little what does he call them? It's a lighthouse tracking
It's either
system.
beacons or base stations.
Beacons or base stations. So it's these two cubes that go in either corner of your room.
Yep.
That are responsible for locating your headset and your controllers in this room scale environment the whole time. So what's
Base
the
stations. So when did the Stylons start showing up?
soon?
Yeah. So
Good.
they kind of so you had the Wii, which emitted a couple of light sources from where your television was, and the controllers actually had cameras on them, right? And then you have the Rift, which has a camera that sits on your desk, and then the head-mounted display is emitting some light that camera looks at, right? But to go full room scale, you kind of have to make it. You have to remove like resolution from the equation, right? You have to make it so it's not a camera with a resolution. Because if you move far away from a camera, it can't tell the orientation of a bunch of little dots anymore.
Sure.
Right? So the way to get away with that is kind of take the pixels from what would be like a display and just scatter them throughout the things and emit light from two sources in a very timed fashion.
I'm not sure about your analogy, but I
It's
understand
kind of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Like, so what happens here is you have the beacons or the base stations emit a sweep of light that sweeps across the room.
So what we're looking at here is what? This is two motors and
Yep, they're actually
infrared lasers,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Lasers.
So there is a grid of infrared LEDs.
Yep.
And they're there just to act as a strobe. And actually, as many beacons as you have, they will strobe at the same time.
If we put a smoke machine in this room, would we be able to see them?
No, you need something that can see IR.
What if I put smoke in the machine and we had a camera that could see IR?
Then you would see it.
Okay.
That's a totally different conversation, Ryan, which we still haven't figured out.
And the sweeps.
I can get a smoke
The
machine.
sweeps are relatively fast-moving, like flat planes of IR.
Right.
So it might actually be kind of hard to see that with like a camera that had a lower refresh rate.
That's true.
But so you have this array of LEDs that emits a pulse, and that's more like a timing thing. That's so that all the things in the room have a point of reference for time, right? And then shortly after that pulse happens, or that blink is actually the term that they use for it, then a sweep will come across the room. And it will be from either one of the two beacons, and it will either be an X or a Y axis kind of thing. It'll either go across the room or like from bottom to the top of the room, right? And all of the sensors in all of the devices, know where all of their sensor positions are relative to like the center of that thing.
Okay.
Right? They kind of have like a 3D CAD kind of idea of where all those things
That
are,
makes
right?
sense.
And those sensors will get hit by that sweep at different points in time, right? It's going to run past all those things at different points in time.
So the difference here is that the intelligence in the Rift is in the camera.
Yep.
Right? The camera and the software is reading the location of dummy IR LEDs on the screen, right? They're just
I think
lights
it's
that are
actually
always on.
I think it's actually in the system because the camera has to be USB 3 for the Rift. It's very high bandwidth.
Yeah, the camera's just
right?
passing data through.
Yeah.
Right? And the difference between that and this is that the controller and your head-mounted display on the Vive rather,
Yes.
actually have sensors that are reading the lights themselves.
And all of the intelligence and the math isn't it's trig, but it's not compute intensive trig to go from a amount of time between the blink and the sweeps hitting the sensors to a what's called a pose, which is like
where are you at?
in space is it?
Where was this thing?
Yeah, and how is it oriented in space?
Right. Yes.
So all those little dots on the Vive are
Vive.
actually IR sensors?
Yep, those are actually IR sensors.
Yeah, behind the plastic is a little sensor. If you look towards the bottom of his second page, you'll see this, right? So this is a teardown of one of the controllers, and each one of those little
Dimples.
pieces of silicon is where a dimple would be, and it's a sensor.
It's just a photodiode.
It's a photodiode.
You would think that there would be cameras on the little lighthouses that are pointing into this room space
Nope.
while strobing, and you'd just have IR reflectors at that thing, and it would be
that's where Allyn get into the talk about the resolution, right? Is
More
because
simple.
if you are further away from the lighthouse, the camera might not be able to discern very accurately.
Think about it. You
what
can
the
have
position
you have the
was.
two
But grabbing
controllers.
those photons is entirely
it
accurate.
would
Yeah.
be
Photons,
it would be
yeah.
really a nightmare
Damn,
for a
that's
system.
wave lasers.
particle.
It would be a nightmare for a system to try to discern those things from a distance, right? Because if you had
Slightly overlapping ones at an angle, or
if you
something
had
like
your
that.
if you had your back to one of the beacons,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had like you were, and this happens a lot in a game, like if you're in Office Simulator or something, you're trying to eat a donut. You take the controller and you put it right to your mouth.
Yeah.
So now you have the head-mounted display and the controller, like you'd have points like all right overlapping with each other, right?
Right.
And it would be
Yeah, and the
and it-
bandwidth of that point
you
is
know-
pretty wide, so it's hard to resolve
Exactly.
which is when, which is where.
Right. So this way,
Yeah.
with this kind of a system, it doesn't matter how many things are in the room. As a matter of fact, you could have like 5 people all playing with Vives with the same 2 beacons.
Yeah, check out
Like-
this little animation in this video here, where it's the laser that is pulsing, right, goes through and it basically activates the controller and the headset.
Yep.
As it passes.
Yeah, but it goes through them. I don't think it does that in real life.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't go through the person, but you
Well,
know,
that's more to your point out.
being
Where are the
irradiated.
sharks? I want the sharks with the laser beams on top of them.
so we did, just actually did some high speed video of what these things look like, which
Yep.
actually came out pretty cool looking. And the way it works out is you would get a sweep from both beacons in the room, like X and Y, and from both beacons. That only happens 15 times a second, actually. To get fixes from both, like the full sweep X and Y from both beacons.
Right, happens 15 times.
Is only 15 times a second. But you're able to do stuff, move around much more fluidly than what 15 times a second fixes would give you, and that's because all of the controllers and the head-mounted displays also has an IMU, which is like basically a 6-axis
and
gyro.
stuff.
Yeah, so that's how it fills in the gaps, right? It's just like, okay, let me get a fix on where you are. Okay, now I know where you are in the room, and then for those little, few milliseconds in between, it just kind of runs on, dead reckoning off of a bunch of inertial sensors and gyros.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, and as one of our initial converts, PCPER Perspectology in the comments just sort of mentioned I was going to as well. It reminds me of the motion capture that you see actors doing with ping pong balls strapped to them. Except it's an active emitter as opposed to a reflector.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Would
more the way
that
the
not have been
Oculus
an
would
easier
work.
way to do it as an active reflector?
That's more the way the Oculus would do it,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Because the
It-
Oculus system is a camera looking at the people.
It's
So
worth.
you've got to do it differently.
It's worth noting, like it's worth going to this story and like checking out the teardown because Alan just kind of took one apart and you can see the motors in it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a neat looking gadget,
and they are like,
and it's relatively the thing I think that you were most impressed with is just it's really simple.
it is a simple
Like
thing.
once you just
The only
know
other-
the math and the trick,
Yeah.
like the device itself is pretty simple. And if you like, I think his name's Alan Yates, the guy who created it.
Yep.
And we don't have a picture of it in here, but he did like a version of it on a breadboard.
That was just the amp for one of those.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
the collector.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's
I
it's
gotcha.
to do the math. It's actually just a hardware ASIC that they, made just to
Sure.
do that math specifically as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, back to what Josh was saying. Like those beacons are actually super simple. Like the electronics in them is just to keep the motors running synchronously.
Like they honestly they don't communicate with the PC at all.
Well, they do only to tell you what firmware it's running on, basically.
They don't communicate with the PC
Yeah.
at all. All
Like-
they do is
like it lets-
they sync up with each other.
It lets the PC know
Yeah.
if they're in sync with each other.
Yeah.
But it's not, and there's no real time data coming. There's
Right.
no like position stuff. They just sit there and do their laser beam sweeps across the room, and they stay. As a matter of fact, they're still running right now. Like the system
That's
is
why
off.
I'm being irradiated by infrared laser beams.
Like
right
there's
now.
2 beacons running in the room right
Just
now,
think
and they
of
just
all the vitamin D you're getting right now.
Yeah, your tan is coming along nicely,
that's
Ryan.
good.
Is that why I was sunburned last week?
Yeah.
Damn it. Damn it.
All that VR you were doing.
Like I said, I really encourage you guys to go to look at that story as well. It's a neat thing to kind of see how it works and how it differs from what Oculus is doing. I'm very curious to see what Oculus will do when they release their touch controllers.
I am too.
Are they going to go to this type of system, or are they going to go with the two cameras system? Like you got to have 2, right?
Yeah.
Because your body can block things. But I'll be curious. I will say in the demos I've had using Oculus Touch, it doesn't feel less accurate.
Right.
Right.
From what I've seen, just using both of them, Oculus seems to be able to just have been designed to kind of skate along more on the IMUs than the position tracking.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, that's how it started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could even take like
They kind of added the IR just so you could get forward, backward motion. I think a lot of it.
you could take the retail version of the Rift and put it on. Like I didn't even have the camera plugged in the other day, and I put the Rift on.
and it works.
And you can totally look around. You can't move around and have it track your movement,
right.
obviously. But like looking around, it's still smooth. It like stays locked on. Whereas the Vive relies more on that. Like if those sensors get blocked,
It
if
freaks out.
if you're using the Vive and
Yeah.
somebody stands in front of the sensor, you might as well just throw the headset off.
the screen
It's
cuts
gonna-
out.
so
It will eventually, but sometimes it kind of like stutters and shifts real quick.
Yeah.
As like lasers, and we also have to. It's worth noting that we had an issue in our office where the IR lasers were kind of bouncing off of some particularly shiny things. I guess.
Yeah, some shiny things were throwing off the timing.
And we had a very specific point where we could hold our controller up in a spot, hiding it from one Lighthouse sensor and not the other, and our hand would just float away.
Yep. So
And then we'd
so
move
the
it
Rift,
so the other one could see it, and it would come back. And we could float away.
so the Rift appears to have been engineered to prioritize the IMU
Right.
over the position tracking, and then the Vive is the exact opposite. Like you can only cover up, you can go like this on the HMD and cover up the sensors, and you'll be grayed out within like a quarter of a second.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not moving or anything. It
and
just,
then which happens like when you're shifting your thing.
the scene just grays out. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool stuff. I'm excited about that, and we have a lot more to do with VR. Before we get into our ad, I do want to say I got another shout out here for Hassan Raza, who updated his pledge from $5 a month to $5.43. 543. So
2-1.
we appreciate it.
We have
Alright.
a 21 coming in.
Yeah, if he had done 54321, that'd have been way more impressive.
Maybe that's what he's going for.
But you know,
Next
we
week
get
it'll
what we
be
can get.
210.
It'll take a couple of months, but that
wait.
.0021 will add up.
I agree. Thank you very much for that. We'll take a quick break here. Thank today's podcast sponsor. That is our friends at Casper. This episode is brought to you by them. It's an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the cost.
Hey, I heard
Yeah.
they were making pillows now.
Are they really?
I think so. I meant to tell you because you like that bed.
I
and
like
you
that
might-
bed, and I need pillows.
Yeah.
I like where this is going.
Yeah.
Casper is revolutionizing the mattress industry by cutting the cost of dealing with resellers and showrooms and passing the savings directly to you guys, the consumer. Benefits of Casper are that it's an obsessively engineered mattress at a very fair price. It provides long-lasting comfort and support. I got my Casper mattress and set it up. It's very soft, very comfortable. The setup process is actually fun. Right, you get this
Do
100
you have
something.
a video up somewhere of you
I
doing that?
don't think I ever. It's on my phone somewhere. I need to do this. But they deliver a 100-something pound box to you. It's very dense. You and a friend carry it upstairs, or wherever, open the box up in the room which the mattress will be installed.
Yes.
And it doesn't explosively expand. It slowly expands. But it's very cool.
Yes, it's not a mattress bar.
got a
You
deck
actually
charge in it.
cut a zip tie, and it's like a popcorn kernel. Poof! It's like, and all of a sudden you're up against the wall. No, you can buy these mattresses easy online, completely risk-free, and you can try sleeping on a Casper mattress. This is a really cool thing. They understand the importance of truly trying out a mattress that, in all reality, you will spend a third of your life on. If you're like Allyn, like a half. Casper offers free delivery and painless returns. Within a 100-day period, 100 days. So you don't have to lie down in a showroom and go through all that rigmarole. And did you know, statistically, lying on a bed in a showroom has no correlation to whether the bed is right for you?
Especially with memory foam, because you have to warm it up
Do you?
in order for it to, like, it's more...
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ken knows.
I'm just saying, like, when it's cold, it's much stiffer. So,
That's not usually how it works, but that's
No,
interesting
no.
information. Casper mattresses are made in the USA. You can get a Casper mattress for $500 for a twin or $950 for a king-size mattress. Comparing this to industry averages, that is an outstanding price. And you can save an additional $50 as one of our audience members simply by going to casper.com/PCPER and entering the promo code PCPER, all one word. That's casper.com/PCPER, promo code PCPER. Terms and conditions apply. And we want to thank Casper for their support of the PC Perspective podcast.
They now have pillows and sheets.
What the?
Sheets?
Yeah,
I need
and
to
the
talk to them
sheets, too.
immediately.
The same 100-night trial applies to both.
For the sheets?
Yeah.
I can try out sheets.
What's so special about the sheets? Like, what is
Nothing
there?
can go wrong there.
They're probably very nice sheets for an inexpensive price.
I
I
will
would
send an
imagine.
email as soon as Josh starts talking about processors.
They are soft, strong, breathable sheets engineered with one of the longest cotton fibers in the world.
The longest cotton fibers?
Yeah, you don't
One
want short
of.
fibers.
Why would? What? I don't understand that.
I don't know.
They need to
Nor do
update their
I.
ad copy and
Yeah,
start promoting
we need
this
to talk
stuff.
to them. Look, they got.
And they
pillows
also have
right there.
responsive dual layer pillows, which adapt to your movements throughout the night.
I need that. Pillows that respond to my movement. Like, hey, stop it. Like that would be a pretty good.
It just punches you in the face.
response.
when you try to
You know,
move
we're
it.
getting closer and closer to Dune, where they had the cat chairs.
Yes.
Remember that?
No, I've
No.
Yeah, the furniture that actively responds to how you're sitting, and
What about the automatic drying jacket from Back to the Future 2?
that was back in
We're still working on those
2015.
lace-up sneakers.
Yeah,
Like, soon.
yeah.
That's soon. And Nike has that. They're ready. All right, let's get into our next story here. NVIDIA Pascal architecture details of some kind have come out. This was part of the NVIDIA GPU Technology Conference. CEO Jensen, did you guys see the tweet that I
Which one?
sent into our Slack chat, right? Where it was like, somebody was like, "Oh, I'm so excited to see Jen Sun, like JENSON or UN Wang, WANG, come on stage." And it's
Like his name was 3 names?
Well, his name is Jensen Wang, right? But
Oh.
it's
Yeah.
HUANG. But
And there's a hyphen in between Jen and Sen, depending
Yeah.
on who you
Yeah.
are.
yeah, it's funny. But he has an American spelling for a source name that's just JENSEN, so that
Jensen.
we don't have to. Our dumb American minds don't have to worry about it, right? In any event, they announced the Tesla P100, which is actually
You got the keys to it?
Electric car.
it's an electric car. It's the most advanced hyperscale data center GPU ever built. It's not a graphics card. It doesn't have display inputs or outputs. It's a module, a kind of a socketed module.
Costs as much as a car.
Yeah, it does. That is used for high performance computing. I want that to be up front. Like this, the GPU they announced as part of the Tesla P100 is meant for
Yes.
high performance
This
computing.
has no display outputs.
It has no display outputs.
That's true.
But that being said, it is Pascal, and this is the first product we have seen announced on NVIDIA's new Pascal architecture.
Yep.
Right. So, a couple of things. The Tesla P100 is not a full GP100 GPU.
Okay.
It's a little bit cut down, which is interesting. So either they had some yield issues they had
It
to
is
deal
a
with.
pretty big die.
Yeah, but the full die is GP100,
Oh, I get it.
right? And they had to cut some of it back in order to either hit yields or hit pricing or
Yeah,
whatever
that's what
it
I'm
is.
saying. I was like
It's still the same size, just disabled.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I'm just saying it's a pretty big, larger the
It
die
is-
you're making.
it is
Chances are there's
610
more stuff you
millimeters.
have to bin. right?
610 millimeters squared, so a little bit bigger than Fiji, right, Josh?
Say that again.
610 millimeters is a little bit bigger than Fiji, right?
Just
Yes.
I think Fiji was
Even when
600.
fully erect.
Yeah, it was about 600, 601 for the AMD part that made up Fury.
Yeah.
And if you look at those pictures, and we know that HBM2 is larger overall, even with the 4 gig size stuff, there is absolutely that may not be the best picture of the guys with from Computer Base DE.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, that's pretty dang close. There is no space whatsoever in between the GPU and those memory modules.
Yeah.
And I mean they've maximized the space potential of those interposers far more than what AMD did with the Fury X. But it's a large chip.
Yep. This GP100 will have a full GP100. So I'm going to really focus on talking about the GP100 chip rather than the P100 GPU,
Right.
Because we're not going to get Tesla P100s in here. This is not a product for gamers. This is not a product for enthusiasts. I'm more interested in what the GP100 chip is.
Yeah. How does that chip compare to the
Right.
previous chip? Basically?
It has 3,840 CUDA cores. Compare that to the GK110 Kepler had 2,880, so 1,000
So it's
more than
another
that.
1,000.
But the GM200 had 3092, but the Titan X, what did it actually have?
2880,
something like that. Yeah. So it had. This is going to have in theory, this GPU could have 1,000 more processing cores.
Yep.
Than that, so about 25% or so. Obviously important for high performance computing. This has 8 times the amount of double precision computing power as Maxwell's the big Maxwell GPU did, right. So
yeah, FP64.
Yeah, so we're at where's that at? Where's our
8
T
times
flops?
the double precision.
Although
so they announced that Tesla P100 had 5.3 teraflops of double precision.
Okay.
Right? Whereas GM200, the big Maxwell, had 0.2.
Yeah, they never released a FP64.
Correct. If you wanted to go back to the
focused version.
GK110, it had 1.6 teraflops.
Yeah.
So you're still going from
It's the
1.6 to
original Titan.
5.3.
It's a big jump.
That's still a huge jump.
They ain't screwing around.
No. And what was did they not
No,
list the
other
teraflops for 32-bit? Oh, then they didn't. They listed...
It's like 10 point... For
10.7.
FP32, it was like 10.3.
Okay.
Or 10 point...
And then they also quoted an FP16, which is a half precision.
Wasn't the other good
data
part of
rate.
the story the clock rate was?
Yeah,
a
so if you
decent
look
amount?
at the clock rate of this Tesla part is 1328 base and 1480 boost, which is really, really high.
Yeah.
Especially for a chip that
It's really large.
it's really
It's
big.
15 billion transistors.
It's big, and in general, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody,
You're wrong.
these are the parts that they would tend to not clock that high.
Right.
I know Ken has pointed out several times that it's got like this ginormous cooler on
It's got
it.
like
and
a
it's in
2-year tower cooler
and it's
on
got like
Yeah.
a rack mount set of fans blowing across everything.
Sure.
it. And they're
I
making
get it.
so much money on so much profit margin on the P100 that they're probably super binned.
I would think. I mean,
But do you think
No,
it's...
I think they're just getting
Yeah.
anything out that actually works
Yeah.
for a wafer.
Yeah, I think
because
you're
But it
we
should
think
be-
it's anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 per Tesla P100. And if you consider that a cutting edge entire wafer of dies costs anywhere between $5,000 and $12,000 fully processed,
yeah.
you really have to wonder what the yields are from NVIDIA.
Or it's just we can charge this, so we're gonna charge this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not
Because
that
there's
we
no
have to.
competition right now.
The server that
not
they
right now.
announced that this goes in was what, $129,000?
Has 8 of them.
It has 8 of them in there. Each GPU is a 300 watt TDP. Like you said, 15.3 billion transistors. It is obviously 16 nanometer FinFET. Look at this die shot, or not die shot. This block diagram. Like
That's
there,
just
Too many blocks for the pixels.
there's your GPU. It does use high bandwidth memory, HBM2. So 16 gigs per GPU on that part.
Yeah.
What did they rate the bandwidth at?
it's like 790 gigs
Per second.
per
Yeah,
second.
so more than
Yeah, it's
double
not
that of the
full
Titan
1
X.
terabyte that we were expecting. They downclocked it.
Ugh, losers.
Well, it's also the interconnects problem in a way too.
It also
They want
uses
you to buy more than one.
Yeah, it also uses NVLink, and this is their kind of proprietary solution to connect GPUs that goes up to 20 gigabytes per connection, 20 gigabytes per second per connection, I think.
I think so.
Theoretically,
Yeah. And then if you have like this setup with all these GPUs, you can yield 160 gigabytes per second in both directions on this.
Yeah.
I wonder, Josh, do you think they'll use NVLink in the consumer space at all? Will they do that for like SLI, something like that? Like where
Well-
you have, instead of the SLI bridge, you'll have an NVLink bridge on the top.
yeah.
Well, they could do that because if you look at the, I think computer-based DE, they had a picture of the back of the P100, and it's a really unique looking connection. There's no reason why they couldn't do that. Well, not that exact one, but to have all the NVLink stuff.
A unique connection on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you'll have an over the top connection that
We
will
don't-
be NVLink rather than the regular SLI.
We don't know like how, if there's a high die cost or something like that to have it adding NVLink to the platform. Probably not.
Really none.
Yeah.
It's going to be PCB costs and pads on the chip. And that's, I mean, they've already got those covered
big
on
chip,
the
as it turns out.
P100. It's not a big deal.
So if you had a couple more takeaways from what they announced, right? Because keep in mind that they didn't announce a GeForce product. There's no consumer part on it.
Right.
I do appreciate Jensen's 5 miracles part of his speech. It really goes into
Saint Jensen and his 5 miracles.
our church of PC Pertology,
It does,
PC
yeah.
Perspectology.
One of the patron saints.
What are a couple of other takeaways you might have from this, Josh?
16 nanometer fin. I'm amazed that they have a GPU this size and working and able to hit 300 watts TDP with the $15 billion transistor count and going that fast. Because if you look at the previous generation 28 nanometer, that was half the size and could only clock up to, for a 275 watt TDP, there was around 950 megahertz. So it's a significant jump. And so that tells us that their next generation Pascal stuff that's going to be the smaller chips, they're going to be pretty power efficient, but they're also going to see a nice clock speed increase. So talking, I would consider 1700 to 1800 megahertz with parts that, what?
That's a lot.
It is, and they're going to be parts that will have more stream processors than the, say, GTX 980 Ti, but not by much. I mean, because they got to keep things smaller, more economical. It's going to be probably, the next generation stuff that we'll see this summer is going to be GDDR5 and 5X because HBM2 production is just not where it's at, where it can support both NVIDIA and AMD. I think that NVIDIA probably went to Samsung and said, we're going to pay you a lot of money because we've got some margins that we can really...
As it turns out, we can pay you a lot if we sell them for $19,000
if you go ahead and start this HBM2 production for us and just sell to us, and I think that's probably what happened. And we're seeing that because AMD is not going to have any HBM2 until HK Hynix... SK Hynix.
Yeah, there you go.
SK Hynix.
Starts their production 3.
Yep.
And that might
overall,
also explain why Samsung recently sort of broke the 10 nanometer barrier and opened some of those solutions, because they might have gotten a bit of research money a couple of years back.
Hard to say, but yeah, but I think it seems like NVIDIA is probably working with Samsung to get the HBM2 out, and well before AMD is able to do the same thing. I think it's interesting that NVIDIA did kind of throw a lot of money into having a huge single big die as compared to what AMD has shown off so far with the Polaris processors, the P10 and P11.
Yeah, sure.
And, those are relatively small products that they're probably producing a ton. NVIDIA is in volume production of this right now. And, they have maximized the die size of this and probably the largest interposer that they can get that's going to fit in the reticle size. I mean, you can stitch interposers together because the features are just so big, but that gets really expensive. It's like, oh, hey, we've got 3 interposers that we can put on this 12-inch wafer. And that just, it's not very cost effective, but, it's NVIDIA and they've got $12,000 to $15,000 to play with in margin. Trying to think what else. I mean,
For the interposers, though, they can make them relatively quick because it's not like they're going through a lot of steps.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like you've got 12 metal layers that you got to do and depositions and all of this other stuff, and you don't have to do immersion lithography. You don't have to do really complex masks or double patterning and all this crap.
Not only that, but you could probably set up a fab for them with all of your old kit that you had from 3
it's
die
like
shrinks
the
ago.
feature sets are 100 microns.
All that gear that you upgraded from and stuck in a warehouse.
Like us.
You could just set
all
back
the stuff
up.
that's on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, we should just make a fab.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this. Like I'm ready to see what the consumer side is. Like I'm actually kind of tired of Polaris demos and like Polaris leaks and like
Yeah.
all these little things
Yeah.
that they're showing. Like, okay, I get it. Just show me the crap. Like, show me the stuff. And now we start down this path with NVIDIA. They tend to be a little bit different in their marketing style with this. I don't imagine they'll suddenly start showing smaller Pascal demos at these things without first kind of doing a bigger reveal. But I could be wrong in that. So
You know what the
ready
bad
for
thing
it.
about P100 is?
It costs $19,000.
Well, 12 to 15. But yeah, you're not going to see that in any kind of consumer stuff until at least late Q1 of 2017.
Oh, at the earliest.
Do you think they will ever release like a GP100 consumer part?
It depends on how well TSMC does, what kind of changes that they can do to increase bands, because we know that AMD has been able to sell plenty of 600 millimeter square GPUs with interposers and HBM memory. Eventually, that technology is going to become less and less expensive. They're going to get better at integrating the package. The memory is going to become less expensive. 16 FinFET Plus is going to start yielding better. They're going to make changes low level in terms of metal layers and other areas to increase yields and bins. And so, yes, it's going to be like, getting a GTX 780 back in the day.
Right.
It was, a detuned card that had plenty of pieces that were disabled, but still worked perfectly fine and made for a great graphics card at a $600, $700 price point. And this will eventually happen, but it's going to be interesting to see what kind of competition, because that's when Vega is going to be coming out from AMD.
Vega.
Vega?
No, it's Vega.
Vega. And also, what other technologies is NVIDIA working on? I mean, are they going to have multiple GPUs on an interposer as well as the memory?
Oh, that would be
It's going to
amazing.
be interesting stuff.
All right, that's pretty cool. Go check out that story, guys, for some more details on Tesla P100 and Pascal GP100. You guys ready for Pascal versus Polaris and screwing up those names all the time?
Sure.
Yes.
I'm glad everybody got pop filters for their microphones recently. So, all right, we've got some more things to get to, and I'm going to be honest with you, we need to do it quicker. So, Josh, how quickly can you tell me about the AMD 7th Series Gen A-Series SOC?
It's a pre-announcement, so there's not much
okay.
to say.
Fair.
Essentially, this is the Bristol Ridge APU.
All right.
It is based on the Excavator core. It has the latest generation of GCN modules. It is essentially the same as Carrizo, except it was given the Godavari treatment.
Is that good?
Better thermals, better power consumption, better turning on and off portions to give higher levels of boost for longer periods without exceeding TDPs. So you've got higher performance at the same TDP, but it's essentially the same chip. So they've worked with Global Foundries. From what we figure out, they've improved the overall process. We've seen this with the previous Godavari stuff as compared to Kaveri, and it's the same thing. Carrizo going to Bristol Ridge, and yeah, so it's a more competitive product, and these will be the chips, the APUs that will be populating the AM4 boards that will be coming up. They're going to release these at Computex. We don't know a whole lot else, but yeah, originally I thought that it was a more interesting chip than it was, because the way they sent us the die shot, it looked like there was an entire border of new stuff all around. I thought, oh, more PCIe lanes, more power stuff that is going to give this better performance. Other type of things like perhaps, USB 3.1. No, they just zoomed it out and cropped all of the edges of the chips around the central die. And it made me angry. And a nice guy from Germany told me, he's like, no, you done screwed up, son. And he was right.
All right. Well, that's good.
I did. But, it's going to be a better performing part. It's going to be more efficient, but it's not adding a whole lot from what we have seen from Carrizo, and it's going to be very curious what actual desktop parts look like and what TDPs they're going to exist at. Computex.
Fair enough. Computex. Turns out stuff's going to happen at Computex. As it turns out, I may go to Taiwan again. Quick shout out before we move on to the next story to Pylon Squelch. They just pledged $3.21.
I don't know why that's funny, but that sounds.
I don't know,
funny.
but I said I would read their names. Pylon Squelch just pledged $3.21 a month to our Patreon. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, we've got a couple of other things. Jeremy, what do you know about this? So actually, I kind of feel bad talking about this now.
Yeah.
We talked about the Tesla GP100, and now AMD has a dual Fiji card for your server room.
Well, I mean, it would be awesome if it wasn't for that damn Jensen who screwed it all up.
Jensen.
But no, I mean, it's a new FirePro refresh, the S9300X2. And honestly, it's nifty because this is HBM memory for your servers. Sadly, it's HBM1, so each of your GPUs gets 4 gigs of memory as opposed to the 8 gigs. On the other hand, it might be out a little bit sooner, and it's going to cost you a little bit of money to get. But apart from that, I mean, they've dropped the clock speeds a little bit, so they're down to about 850 megahertz.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's 2 full Fiji cores. So you're looking at 8,192 cores, which is a decent amount of cores. Out of that, a good half gig of texture units, 120 ROP, or 128 ROPs, because they come divisible by 2s. It's nice. It's lovely to see a nice refresh to the FirePro, because, you know, AMD still has a place in the hearts of many people on this planet, and we'd like to see new products coming out from them. We'd also love to see newer products coming out from them, but, you know, at the same time, it's just the fact that we get a double GPU FirePro to this, which is passively cooled.
Yeah.
It's not anywhere near, like, the entire card.
Well, it's not passively cooled.
It has to
Yeah,
go.
It's not water
blowers
cooled.
that are rolling.
Yeah, there we go.
They kind of claim, but at the same time, the entire card has a TDP of 300 watts, as opposed to each and every single processor. So, for
Also,
once,
this has a price of $6,000.
yeah, the price.
Shit, that's it. It's not 19.
That's not 15 at all.
No, it's not 15 at all. It's kind of hard to talk positively about, but at the same time, AMD has the lead on thermals against NVIDIA. Like,
Yeah.
the entire thing is 300 watts right now.
Well,
This is not bad.
yeah, but you got to look at performance per watt,
Yeah.
right? And that would
Well,
be the real telling thing. Also,
okay,
Jeremy,
so-
are you going back in time? Perhaps are you turning into a Back to the Future 2 joke?
He's de-resing.
Your video is like
No.
turning black and white. I don't understand.
Yeah, no, there's some weird,
weird.
stuff going on with
alright.
my...
It was really dark at one point, and then it became normal, and now
Yeah, no, it
there you go.
keeps changing, and then it goes totally
it's coming
ginger,
back.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not usually this
all right.
red,
It's okay.
but
It's okay.
and then it does this.
Ooh,
Like, seriously,
this is really good stuff.
That was
the
creepy.
Logitech camera is really upset with the creative stuff that I have plugged in right now that I'm testing. It's kind of amusing. So I've just been watching myself change color the entire time.
But can it do sound effects?
No, but I can.
Can you sound like a guy who owns a white van that says free candy?
Please don't. Please don't. I don't need that.
Don't
I
turn that
need
filter on.
No.
All right,
Let's move on.
fine. But
EV
yeah,
Go
hey,
ahead.
we've got a new AMD FirePro, and it got stomped on by NVIDIA.
Yeah, it's just,
Sorry,
it's just
guys.
poor timing. It's just poor timing. EVGA.
Yeah, but it's half the price of
Yeah.
the NVIDIA product.
Is it half the performance? What was its? Does it give you any
It's a flop.
T flops? 13.9 T
Yeah,
flops.
13.9.
So that's FP32. So it's not bad.
Yeah. So that's all like, and a single GP100 is like 10 point something.
Yeah.
Yep.
32-bit?
Yeah, FP32, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, maybe its performance per watt is better.
Yeah.
No, in a way, if you don't need the obnoxious power that NVIDIA is offering you right now, it is still a decent choice. It's also probably going to be a lot smaller because those were freaking 2U coolers on that thing, so it might be a 2U server. It's probably more likely a 3U. This is
The
going to halfway
NVIDIA
fit
one, you
the
mean?
That one's a
Yeah.
3-year.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also coming up, EVGA releases NVIDIA GeForce GTX 950 low power cards. This is just kind of basically a continuation of this weird trend we've had that I really need to be asking some people about releasing 950s without power.
Oh, no power connectors?
Yeah.
So 75 watt?
Has to be
Graphics
at
card,
most 75 watt video card.
Hey, they're starting to utilize that third generation TSMC 28 nanometer process.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
These are cards with 768 CUDA cores, 2 gigs of memory. Primary difference between all of them will be clock speeds. If we zoom in here on this graph, we can see here that looks like, let's see, 1317 is probably our maximum clock speed. That's pretty good. 1127 base, 1317 megahertz boost clock on that for the GTX 950 SC.
That requires it 6-pin.
Oh, I'm looking at the ones at the bottom. Okay, so it goes
Yeah,
up
I was
to
wondering
1253.
like if you get to a point where you
So
would
the
need a
GTX
power connection.
950 SC new version, without requiring a 6-pin power, is a 1076 base clock and a 1253 boost clock.
Still pretty close.
Yeah.
And the performance of that one is better. So you've got better or good, but not best, because you can't do best with a 950. So there's, 4 options from EVGA now that will be power connector-less 950s. They must have a lot of 950s they're trying to get through.
I
Between
guess.
now and the summer. That's got to be part of it. It's got to be part of it.
I wonder how much those cost.
Because both Intel and AMD, integrated graphics is not nearly as fast, but
Sure.
if you really want a standalone video card, you're probably going to just spend $200 and get something that can do 1080 and 1440.
Yeah. Yeah. And our final news story today, the HP Spectre 13.3 is apparently the world's thinnest laptop.
Oh, have you not heard? It is a CNC machined aluminum chassis, as thin as a AAA battery, at just 10.4 millimeters.
Just one thin little wafer.
Just the one thin as a wafer.
But not wafer, instead AAA battery.
Oh no, it has a wafer in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's
It's a
several.
full i5 or an i7 even.
Yeah, that's true. It's not a M.
CNC machined aluminum. So what do you guys think about this logo? This new HP logo, by the way.
the logo's good.
I like
It's an
the logo.
old one.
What?
Yeah.
It essentially says, let's get this party
Yeah.
started.
No,
Let's
they
get this
tested
party
this about
started.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, they
And they didn't do it.
Huh.
I don't know why.
it showed up a couple places, but they never actually use it, and now they
like
switched
it.
to it.
I like it. So it avoids the Core M processors, opting for full Intel Core i5, Core i7 Skylake parts.
Is it a touchscreen?
Don't.
I wouldn't think so
Or
if it's that
care.
bad. Right?
No, it is not.
Okay.
High gloss copper accents, innovative hybrid battery split into 2 thinner pieces, delivers the same wattage as a single battery for up to 9.5 hours of battery life. Full HD IPS edge-to-edge display.
Copper accents. That's how they cool that i7.
That's right. That's right.
Oh no, it's the hyperbaric cooling again. It's the suck in, not the
a
suck out.
recessed piston hinge. Look at that. That's actually pretty cool. See how the hinge works? It's a
Man,
recessed
I wonder
piston hinge.
how well that works.
Well,
I like it.
I don't know.
I like the way
kinda
it
like
looks.
it better than the watch band.
that does look
Yeah.
really
I
thin.
just don't like the copper.
Really? I like it. I think it looks nice.
I think
Copper and black is
Nice.
copper and black is a nice.
245,
Plus, you can lick it and it tastes like copper.
Yeah.
2.45
pennies.
pounds. That's not as thin as as light as I thought it would be.
Come on, it's copper.
Wait,
It's made
are
of
those-
metal.
Are those USB 3.0 ports on the back?
I think those are Type C.
Type C USB.
So all
Yep.
the USBs on
And
the
a
back.
Kensington lock at the
They
end.
got 3 Type C's on it.
No,
They got a
there's your
no,
headphones.
That's an audio.
That's headphone jack back there.
Uh-huh.
You'll never
they've
be
got
able to
2
connect anything to it.
Yeah, actually, is there a regular USB on this thing?
Type
No.
C.
3
that thing.
Type C's.
So you have to carry
2
an
of
adapter
which
with you.
support Thunderbolt. Unspecified version.
Well,
It has to be
It's
3.
gotta be 3.
I'm assuming it's 3. You don't release
It's
something
got
like
stereo
this without-
speakers from Bang & Olufsen. 3 multifunction or full function USB Type C connectors, including 2 of which support Thunderbolt. I think it's pretty cool looking, and this is apparently a look at the inside of the Spectre 13.3.
Yeah.
That's pretty small for all that stuff to
Yeah.
go on. So starting at a Core i5 6200U, Intel HD, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 or 512 PCIe SSD, 3x USB 3.1. So yeah, not having a regular USB Type
Having
A
Type A
connection.
you can plug something into in a pinch.
Yeah, that's kind of a downside to it.
So
But
you keep an adapter in your bag, I guess.
it's
Well,
not.
it has to ship with a carbon fiber and copper adapter. Nice little USB hub.
It's not a horrible pricing on this.
No.
Like the Core i5 version with 256 gig SSD, it's $1170.
Well, there's no reason
Yeah,
to buy
it's a
the
horrible
i5.
price on the i5.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the i7 price.
Yeah, you should just
Why
buy
would you
the
not
i7.
buy the
Sure,
i7?
for $70 more. Yeah. Huh. And it was a 13.3 inch 1080p screen.
Probably a
Yeah.
little bit lower battery life on the i7 though, because I doubt they're adding more battery.
They're not adding more battery.
But
yeah.
the i7 should clock
They don't
down
mention the resolution of the
aggressively
screen
enough.
in this particular thing. Oh, full HD.
They'll
it does.
probably do QHD. Everyone does it now.
Hyperbaric cooling, otherwise known as fans. But I mean, you can see like this is all chambered off here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hyperbaric cooling is different.
Yeah. Interesting.
Laptops usually don't suck it.
No, usually they're just
Usually
blowing
blow
hot
out.
air out and sucking cool air in, or just passively getting cool air in. This is sucking cool air
Like through
in.
your keyboard. I think this is really cool. I want to see one in
Yeah,
person and see like what that hinge feels like and how the thinness affects it. Like, does it
How far
wobble
back
a
that
lot?
hinge can go.
How far back in the hinge go, and then also how much force does it take to break it?
How loud it gets.
Will it blend?
Yeah, if you're actually doing processing on it, how loud does it get? That would be interesting.
Yeah,
to
do
know as well.
remember it's not a detachable screen. In theory.
Does it fold all the way back like a yoga?
Theory, yes, I gotcha. All right, that is all of our news and stuff today. Let's get into our hardware and software picks of the week. He says as he clicks around for everybody else's links that are just added while he's doing everything else for the show.
Bullshit.
Not that anyone pays attention to the stuff that we have to do.
And besides, your pick is pretty.
Well, I had it in there before the show.
Mine was in there before the show.
I don't think it was.
Yep.
Not when I was clicking all the links. Let's put it that way. Slack. Slack is our recent replacement for HipChat.
HipChat.
HipChat went down for like a full day. I was very sad. And then I also realized in doing that I don't have a way to talk to anybody else, really. Like, I was going to send everybody an email or something. No, that's crap.
I'm just touched that you were upset by that.
Let's go back to Yammer.
We go back to Yammer. I forgot that we had that before HipChat, right? So Slack is a team communication for the 21st century, as this says, right? So you basically have, it's kind of IRC upgraded and updated and modernized, right? So
Yeah.
you can do file attachments, you
chat
can do
room.
linking, you can do searching, you can do...
Does it say, oh?
It does, yeah. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Those were good.
Those were the days.
Yeah, those were the days.
You basically can create channels. You can do direct messaging, drag and drop, share files. This is if you are in a small work environment or even a larger one, really, and you can create like smaller sub segments within it. Slack is a very easy to use. It's got good web apps. It's got good Windows apps. The phone apps are good as well so far. And it seems to work really well. And there's a completely free version. That's the one we're still on, actually. It
Yep.
limits how far back you can search and the size of attachments and things like that. But I think like the payment is maybe $2 per user per month or something like that.
Not bad.
Yeah, which is what I was paying on HipChat for the same kind of additional functionality. So Slack is kind of the newest one of these, the one that has the most support, I think, from larger publishing entities.
Probably
right?
better uptime.
I mean, God, I hope so. Right? HipChat, God love it. We had a lot of issues with
Their
it the
mobile,
last several
the
months.
Slack mobile apps actually work.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mobile HipChat apps were like
Bad.
not fun.
Yep. I think is this just slack.com?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yep.
just slack.com. So check that out if you're kind of looking for it. And I think, can you use this not for like a work thing, but for like your group of friends? Right? You guys have like a Slack channel or something?
Yeah, there's a couple like organizations that I belong to that use it as well. Like a lot of open source stuff. We'll just use Slack as what people used to use IRC for essentially, but it's a more convenient thing than downloading an IRC client on your phone or whatnot.
Yeah.
You can just have this nice mobile first.
And the client is friendly to be logged into multiple of those things,
Right.
as well. So
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's designed for
The
that.
mobile client sort of isn't, but the desktop
So
client
it's like one beer a month at a bar for me that you're paying for.
$2 a month for a beer?
10
The
more.
I thought it was $6.67 a month per user.
Oh,
Oh, if
is it
it's
really?
that, I've got to change my mind now. I don't know. Free sounds good. $6.67 per user per month billed annually. $8 billed monthly. Well, that's actually a lot more than HipChat.
I'm
HipChat
upset
was
they
only
added an extra
$2.
penny
Yeah,
to
but
the-
there's no reason we shouldn't be able to be on the free tier.
No, the
free one is
upgraded
fine.
one basically gives you unlimited service integrations. Which I don't care. You can only search and browse 10,000 most recent messages on the free one. Can't do guest access, priority support, Google authentication. Nah, the rest of that's I'm fine. So it's basically, do we want to have more searchable stuff or not?
Let's
Right.
be honest, we don't say anything important.
$8 a month per user.
all
I don't know,
ephemeral.
I'm not gonna. I probably won't pay $100 a month for Slack.
That's pretty steep.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just use Merc again if I'm going to do that. I'll do that. Who's up next? What do you got? No, not you.
Oh, wait. Why am I next?
You're not.
I don't know. They changed it on us.
Is this yours? Which one's
It
yours?
says
What's
Allyn.
yours,
Go to
Jeremy?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, what's your pick?
You gonna go to me?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
You
I
talking
was
to me?
pretty desperate. But there's a Steam sale on, and if you like micromanaging and taking over the world, and honestly getting a geography lesson at the same time, if you are from south of the border, Europa Universalis. Bloody hell, that's hard to say.
Universalis.
Thank you. Europa Universalis 4 is $10 right now on Steam.
$9.99.
Well, no, it's $10.99 up here.
Oh.
No, well, yeah, you're Canada.
Yeah, it's Canada. And honestly, I probably got a bargain on that because
Jeremy
the exchange rate's still not very
Jeremy
good.
doesn't have VR support.
I doubt it because that would just be
It doesn't.
very entertaining.
Because it's 2D.
Oh yeah,
It's-
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is what the Total War series kind of wanted to become. And because Steam has decided to screw around with Civ 4 a bunch, looking for a new thing to play with my dad and my brother, this is sort of the way that we go. It's insanely complex. It will eat up all of the time that you do not have. It's like Defense Grid, only you have to put more effort into it. It's a hell of a lot of fun.
Cool.
And for 10 or 11 bucks, yeah, if you don't have any spare time, well, now you're going to have even less.
I'm pretty sure 11 Canadian dollars is like $3 American, right? So that's a hell of a deal up there.
Oh, no, it's not quite that good.
Oh.
Our dollar's creeping up again, unfortunately.
Gotcha. All right, Josh, what's your pick?
Mine?
Yours.
I bought this SSD the other day.
Huh.
And, it's not for my main machine, but
Okay.
480 gigs for, well, I think it's $109 right now. I think I got it for 99 a couple of days ago on sale. It, it's not the fastest thing out there. You DLC, but boy, is it just dirt cheap. It uses the Phison controller, so it's not horrific, but again, it's for my wife, and she appreciates any upgrade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she doesn't run benchmarks nonstop on her SSD to see exactly how fast it is. And so all she knows is things are just slightly faster.
is it
and
is,
snappier.
is it 10 cents a gig yet?
No.
Damn it.
Not quite.
All right.
Not there yet.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Very cool. And now, Alan, I'll let you go.
So I didn't know this on archive.org. If you look up old games now, it'll actually fire up MAME and play them right in the browser.
Yeah?
Like what Ryan's doing.
What?
Like right now.
That's not me. Playing game. This is illegal.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean,
No, it's
archive.org is-
archive.org. They don't take anything that's illegal. This is all stuff that's gone to
Oh, I
public
love
domain.
this game.
There you go. So
There's
there's
coin.
like
Yep.
road blasters, and he's inserting a bunch
So
of
many
coins.
Yeah.
And you gotta hit.
Yeah, they're
control
cheaper now.
is the gas, and Alt is shoot.
You just spent $275.
Left and right, left. There you go.
What, you don't think I'm a veteran?
Well, I don't know,
No.
but the steering is like absolute, so you have
Oh.
to like.
Oh, yeah. You have to like, go back.
You don't have a steering wheel, so But whoa, how did? Oh, he hit. He
I
rotated the
don't-
screen.
I don't know.
He hit Alt.
I don't
and the
know.
arrow.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, you're stopped and you're shooting
I can't-
the landscape.
Alt up.
Okay.
There.
All right. I
No,
can't
no,
hit
don't turn.
control.
Don't turn while
Hey, you killed
accelerating.
somebody.
I can't turn while accelerating. Only
Hey,
shoot
back in the day,
while
we could
not
only
turning.
accept so many inputs at a time.
Oh no! I need my
He needs-
helicopter
he needs
friend.
he needs a
God,
wheel or
no! I did
something.
it again.
Oh no! He rotated his. What's funny is it's not rotating it for the stream.
It's
Yeah.
like
It's
just
splitting
only
it off into a separate window.
Yeah, it's only
weird.
Yeah,
rotating
it
it for
makes a new
Ryan.
window on the stream.
Anyway, so if you don't have a laptop that's going to auto rotate your screen, if you hit Alt arrows,
Really awful.
then then you can play old MAME, older kid games in MAME. Yeah, it's added challenge. See, the arcade version didn't do this. What a challenge if every time you hit the gas
You're
while
still
turning,
doing well.
you're still doing all right. You're almost at the finish. Almost. Oh, he's out of gas. Almost. Oh, he made it.
Spin out.
It's like he had just enough.
Just enough gas.
I wanted
Do you
the
remember
little
Death
thing that comes down and
Race,
puts a cool weapon on
where you can like drop
the next level.
caltrops and fun things like that.
Yeah.
Death Race 2000.
Yeah, Death Race 2000.
Well, it was
Remember that
before the Death Race 2000.
Oh, well, yeah,
It was
there
like
was Death Race, the original
1991,
one, too.
1990.
Yeah, I used to play that in the computer lab at high school.
So, it looked like they had a bunch of other stuff.
Yes. How do I use that one?
I don't remember.
Spacebar.
Oh, look, spacebar fires too. So now I can actually do this correctly. Oh,
yeah.
well.
Now, I know I've picked this before because there are thousands of games on archive.org.
Yeah, but
You're
they
out
didn't
of
used to.
gas,
They didn't used to
dude.
have them like complete with the emulator built into your browser, right? Like,
Yeah, they did.
Oh.
Oh,
Now,
give me
it
those
was a little
gas
bit buggy
balls.
back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, this is like.
And by that I mean it was really bloody buggy back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bonus fuel.
And it looked like they had emulators up for even other like. I mean, I think there was even like Commodore and stuff.
Give me
Yep.
that
There.
fuel, dog.
So pretty cool. If you just want to like
Give me that fuel.
be all
Like,
retro.
gotta run over it.
Oh, I ran right into that one.
drove
All right.
right into the ball.
All right, everybody.
Look at those sprites.
That is
Yeah.
it for our show today. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Make sure you go to PCPER.com and read all the stories and stuff we talked about and see all the stuff we're going to talk about in next week's show. Really appreciate you if you would do that. And PCPER.com/podcast, you can find all the links to our video version download, our audio version download, the YouTube video, and then, of course, PCPER.com/subscribe and all that other stuff as well. And don't forget, if you want to support us, you like what we do, you think we're funny, we're entertaining, I don't know, maybe any of that stuff. Remember, Patreon.com/PCPER. Oh my gosh, look at this. We got we have last minute ones coming in. Joe Clark pledged $50.
Awesome.
Joe Clark kicks ass.
Yeah, he does.
PC Perspectology pledged $3.14. Thank you very much.
Oh,
In the
pie.
offering plate.
I was gonna say
Bye for everyone.
I was going to say NASDAQ, but it's actually NADSAQ. NADSAQ. Pledged $3.50. So congratulations for getting me to say that out loud for $3.50 a month. We really appreciate it. And like I said, thank you to everybody for supporting us. It is awesome. And we will see you next week. I'm Ryan Schrow.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
Bye.